The Mystery of BELICENA VILLCA. Fourth Book. The Story of Kurt von Superman. Chapter 12. It is too difficult to gather both of them, I said. The last time that we were together was 4 years ago, when I entered to the Nebula. Perhaps, tomorrow or after tomorrow we depart to Egypt, and I don't know when will be another chance to share a conversation. Could we retire for a moment? Dad had begun to pronounce a protest, but Rudolph interrupted him. You're right, Kurt. Come over here. He signalized a door. That I have to talk you to. 1 moment later, we were installed in Rudolf Hess' office, who, behind an immense ministerial desk of carved oak, he was swinging in a fluffy elbow chair. I hurried to initiate the conversation. Overall, I said, I desire that one of you clarify me something in which all seemed to be agree, even the Führer, as I could verify today, but from which I just have obscure references. I am referring to a kind of spiritual quality that I'd have, unknown for most of people, but that some people are capable to distinguish. It could be the mysterious sign that the Ophite Arabs who kidnapped me mentioned when I was a child in Egypt, or the great spiritual capacity from which spoke the Führer before. I don't know what it is, but some seems to know it, and not like it, as the Professor Ernst Schaffer, for example. Rudolf Hess arched his eyebrows when he heard the name of the man of the hour. Then, I will tell you the bitter experience that I lived days ago. I perceived a bright of wrath in the obscure eyes of my godfather. The art has only produced traitors. This is something that you'll need to have present from now on, Kurt. I'll tell you a secret that only 4 people at the Third Reich know, including the Führer and me. A secret that refers to you, and what you have just told me. Professor Schaffer doesn't lack of reason to distrust in you. Certainly, that he could not be sure to carry out the all-Western operation, if you're included on it. But, you're inevitably entailed to that expedition, whatever could want Schaffer, and you have caught it, and you have approached to him in a bad moment. I can't reveal you now the motives of such entailment, but perhaps another person to whom you'll meet soon will explain it to you, one of the participants in secrecy. With security, you will be in the future a personal representative of the rich Führer Himmelreich, the 4th person in the secret, before Ernst Schaffer. And he could not do anything to prevent it. Those were our plans, but, suggestively, you have advanced us. Nothing that incapable to be repaired. You will wonder, how is that the Führer, or the rich Führer knew about you? Even though you have not noticed it, all these years you have been object of an intense surveillance by my part, and other people that you don't know, because the Third Reich has prepared a path for you, appropriated to your possibilities, which will permit you to serve to the homeland as nobody have done, at the same time that you will develop your spiritual faculties. You will know everything very soon, and you will comprehend us. I have not received answer to the queries yet, but I was moved and excited with the promissory future of successes that Rudolf Hess announced me. But one thing intrigued me unconsciously: what would be the reason of the curious name of the expedition of Ernst Schaffer, a Old Western operation, that's to say, Old West operation? The remembrance of this question, and its incredible answer, would have place only 2 years later, in the heart of the Tibet. You want answers, and you have all the right of it, continued speaking Rudolf Hess, but this is not the moment, neither the appropriated place to treat spiritual mysteries. On these you missed my presence, but it was better for you that I would have not intervened in your life directly, to make that the psychological development be produced slowly. Even we agreed with your father. Dad assented with the head. Now, it will be different. You'll have your place, and you'll be near to me. But, first, you must know our philosophy. I'm not referring to the National Socialist doctrine, just as it appears in the book of the Führer Mein Kampf, or in the one of Alfred Rosenberg, The Myth of the 20th Century, but an occult philosophy, in which we, a small group, ingressed as you will do undoubtedly. You must comprehend that, Here it doesn't treat about an sterile knowledge that can be reduced to a code of principles, or an operative manual, through which train our acts. On the contrary, it is about to acquire a knowledge that acts dynamically over the spirit, transforming us internally, endowing us a millenary wisdom that makes us transcend the plane merely human of the existence. You are specially gifted to accede to that semi-divine state, continued Rudolph, replying in part to the question of the sign, because you have something interior that few men possess. The possibility to be. You'll understand it better soon, at knowing the secrets of the order, but I can advance you, just as the Führer said us, some minutes ago, not all men are equal, not everyone exists, not all can be. On the contrary, for those who disposes of the possibility to be, the fight and the effort must be put in transcend this world of illusory images, and perpetuate himself in the eternity, in another plane of existence to which only we will be able to arrive, if we wake up from the demonic dream in which we are sunk. The majority of men that you see in the world do not exist really, or if you prefer, they live a relative existence, illusory, which is a blow for the eternity. Their consciousness is diluted with the death, even if many believe the opposite, and nothing survives to them. The eternity, dear Kurt, is for a few, for an aristocracy of the spirit, founded in semi-divine heroes, in superhumans that, at the expense to fight a harsh combat with the prince of this world, Satan, just as you have denominated him, transmute their inferior nature, and gain their place in the Valhalla. All will be revealed to you, Kurt, because you're a semi-divine hero, a Virya, the mark of Lucifer, that worry you so much proves it, and that just indicates the purity of your spiritual lineage. But, Lucifer is not the devil? I asked with caution. I should have made this question to the Führer, but I didn't have courage for it. Lucifer, the conveyor of uncreated light, the devil. Rudolf Hess felt incensed. That is the blasphemous calumny that Jehovah Satan has foisted you through his disciples, the Jews, and some imbeciles Christians, and not enlightened Muslims. Lucifer is Christus. The Christus of the Atlantis, Rudolf Hess breathed profoundly before continuing. Let's leave those mysteries for now, to speak about you, Kurt, said Rudolf, changing of theme. You have fulfilled satisfactorily a harsh stage of studies, and a new cycle of efforts opens for you. Is our will, he looked at my dad, who assented with his head again, to enlist you in the Waffen-SS, for your military and political perfectioning. But that is, let's say, an exoteric training, at least until you reach the restricted circle of Welsburg, castle of training of the SS. There's another parallel path that you must take, and that entails efforts and sacrifices. Is an occult path, esoteric, that will allow you improve yourself spiritually, and will resolve your most secret doubts. Have you heard about the BELICENA? I thought for a moment, more for compromise than for another thing. I had the certainty that I had never heard that name. No, I replied. It is a secret group of wise men, said Rudolf Hess with respectful tone. I will ease your ingress to the order, and they will help you to progress, but you must understand since the beginning. The next. The Hyperborean orders, as the BELICENA, follow a circular disposition. In the mundane organizations as the Frankmasonry, or if it desire to simplify, as any bureaucratic administrative, is advanced vertically, step by step, from the base of a triangle up to the apex, which occupies the highest hierarchy. On the contrary, in a Hyperborean order, is advanced over passing concentric circles. You, for example, once in the order, are a white circle, perhaps, the external circle. I am not saying that you form part of a circle, or occupy a place in the circle, but that you are the circle. As you, there are other members who are circles of major or minor diameter, organized concentrically around a center of power, occupied by the highest level of wisdom. For this reason, I say that it is advanced over passing circles, and not traversing circles, of different level, because the Hyperborean wisdom consists in to tighten the own circle towards the center, in to restrict the circle, until our capacity permits to. Do you understand, Patekind? I think so, I said without much conviction. But, all these that you explain so gently, brings me stillness and tranquility. Have the security that, I'll do all what's possible to not defraud your trust nor the faith of your father. Well, then, there's nothing else to talk about. Do you remember Pap, the officer SS that you met in Berchtesgaden? Now he is SS Oberführer, Colonel C in German. With him, you will talk at your return from Egypt, to know the steps to be followed. Rudolf Hess pressed a button, obtaining for answer the hasty coming of an officer of custody. He ordered him to dispose to bring champagne to the important office. He didn't drink, but this was different, he said, because we should toast for my graduation and the future of Germany. Then, he began an honest conversation with Dad, remembering common anecdotes of their days as students and of Egypt. Thus, concluded the stage of student in my life, Nifacero. At my return to Egypt, things took another course, and, while I was complying with the different training stages in the Waffen-SS, to reach in 1939, to the Castle Welsburg, I also passed through different circles of the Gesellschaft. As the events that will really surprise you, due to, they are connected with your own experience, occur immediately, since 1937, I'll try to resume them, with some detail. Recently, in 1939, at returning from my terrible mission, Infernal, which was the operational Western, I received the instruction that permitted me to understand everything in part. The next years, especially since 1941, I passed them realizing missions in Asia, similar missions to the one that I had carried out, in the operational Western, and analogues, also, to the esoteric mission, realized by Rudolf Hess, with his historical flight to England in 1941. Missions of the same strategic characteristic to the fulfilled by BELICENA VILLCA, and her son Noyo, that is to say, missions of tactical diversion to confuse, and divert the enemy. But missions that require the previous Hyperborean initiation, of their agents for their execution. But, we'll leave this part of the narration for later. Now, after 12 and 30 hours, and the good one must have ready the dinner.